Hi everyone, I'm Moose.
Hey guys, I'm Kaya.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, and we're here at our very first San Diego Comic-Con.
We finally made it to the West Coast for the biggest event in nerd culture.
And we picked a pretty special year to do it.
Because this is the con's 50th anniversary. So, to celebrate, we're looking back at the history of this hallmark event.
What comic legend is directly responsible for the con's existence?
How did it explode from a small group of friends to a massive powerhouse?
And what were some of its most mind-blowing moments in its 5 decades of dominance? We're NowThis Nerd.
And this is the true story
of San Diego Comic-Con.
Let's start with the origins.
San Diego Comic-Con was far from the first pop culture convention. As far back as the 30s, fans gathered to meet and discuss their favorite Golden Age sci-fi authors. At first, these were more like meetings or bullshit sessions. They didn't draw more people than your average Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. But some, like Worldcon, which began in 1939, are still going strong today. Now, most of these early cons revolved around the written word, novels and pulp fiction starring characters like Conan the Barbarian and the Lensman. Comic books weren't much of a draw, especially after the moral panic of the 50s nearly led to the art form's extinction. But once the Silver Age revitalized the industry, its most iconic artist helped give birth to the biggest event in comics. In 1969, a man named Sheldon Dorff invited a group of teenage nerds to his parents' house in San Diego and proposed the idea of a convention to this motley crew of comic fans and traders. They were justifiably skeptical that this guy they barely knew could deliver the goods, at least until he picked up a phone and got Jack freaking Kirby on the line. The kids were awestruck that the king of comics would answer Dorff's calls. They thought he must be the ultimate comic insider, but in reality, Dorff kind of just showed up to Kirby's door one day, and since he and his wife Roz were such nice people, they let him in out of the kindness of their hearts. Later, the whole gang went to the king's house where he agreed to attend their convention and gave them an important piece of advice. Kirby knew that the world of nerdery was much bigger than comics, so he encouraged them to broaden the scope and incorporate all aspects of fandom. A tradition that helped SDCC become the all-encompassing Goliath it is today. Now that they had the king's blessing, the group got to work on the first con.
Words can't describe the scope and scale of the modern Comic-Con. We're packed shoulder to shoulder alongside celebrities, creators, and 140,000 fans. So it's hard to believe that this massive event that can barely be contained by a convention center started out in a rundown hotel in the seediest part of San Diego.
The first Golden State Comic-Con was actually 2 separate events, a one-day mini-con that raised funds for the real deal, and a 3-day convention held a few months later on August 1st through the 3rd, 1970. The guests of honor were Kirby, of course, and author Ray Bradbury, who's also responsible for the con's current nonprofit status. Basically, there was no chance the organizers could afford his $5,000 speaking fee, which is about 30 grand in today's dollars. So, on the spot, they just kind of told him, no, Ray, this is actually a nonprofit. We're just doing this to spread awareness of science fiction and fandom and your great books, so will you do it for free? To their surprise, he agreed. He did it for absolutely free.
I never said thank you. And you'll never have to.
The first con drew 300 fans, exceeding all expectations, and as the years progressed, it just kept growing. They broke the 4-digit mark in 1973, which is when the event officially changed its name to San Diego Comic-Con. The next year, the attendance more than doubled to 2,500 fans, who witnessed the debut of the legendary Comic-Con Masquerade. This iconic costume celebration laid the groundwork for the entire cosplay community, and it's a tradition that continues to this day. By this point, SDCC had become a crucial stop for any up-and-coming sci-fi franchise. In the pre-internet age, it was one of the few ways available to create buzz for your new property, which is why, in 1976, fans were given their very first glimpse for a little movie called The Star Wars.
Look, it's Mark Hamill!
This poorly attended panel was a far cry from today's Hall H hysteria, but it was even more proof that if you want to be legit, you have to come to Comic-Con. By 1979, the con had outgrown the El Cortez Hotel and moved to a nearby performing arts center, but it still wasn't enough. In 1991, the con set up shop at the brand new San Diego Convention Center, the place it's called home for the last 28 years. Now, Comic-Con isn't the biggest nerd convention in the entire world. That honor goes to Japan's Comic-Con, which draws over 500,000 otaku every year. But SDCC is no slouch either. It is big business, bringing in over $150 million to the city annually, along with thousands and thousands of the most passionate fans from all walks of life.
Everyone is welcome at SDCC, no matter your color, gender, or level of fandom. We're all the same under this roof. We're all here to celebrate the pop culture we love and to experience the massive moments. When you're here at Comic-Con, you'll probably spend most of your time weaving through the massive crowd, gawking at cool stuff from the vendors, and more than anything else, waiting in line.
Today, it's commonplace for fans to camp out in front of Hall H, queuing up for agonizing hours in the hopes of gaining access to a primo panel. But believe it or not, it wasn't the Avengers or Batman or even Star Wars that made Hall H such hallowed ground. It was, brace yourselves, hold on to your butts, Twilight.
Beautiful.
In 2008, a torrent of twihards descended upon Comic-Con and camped out overnight in front of Hall H to get their first glimpse at New Moon. It was a controversial move at the time. A lot of hardcore comics fans weren't happy with the sparkly vampire saga invading their turf, but it actually helped establish Hall H as the place to be. And it opened the doors of SDCC to even more genres and fandoms. Over the last decade, as nerd culture became mainstream culture, some of the most iconic films and TV shows ever made their debut right here in San Diego. Hell, it's practically the birthplace of the entire MCU. In 2006, at a teeny Marvel presentation promoting a movie about their fairly obscure hero Iron Man, fans asked Kevin Feige if there was any chance he could cross over with their other characters in the future.
If you listen to the characters I named that we are working on currently, and you put them all together, there's no coincidence that may someday equal the Avengers.
A year later, they debuted the first Iron Man trailer, one of the greatest ever, at a Paramount panel where Marvel wasn't even the main event. They were playing second banana to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Iron Man was, of course, a massive hit, and in 2010, things came full circle when Marvel revealed the full cast of their Avengers crossover at, where else? San Diego Comic-Con. It's a place where almost anything can happen, where celebrities can show up incognito, supervillains can literally steal the show, and fans can be treated to swag, surprise concerts, and sneak peeks.
Honestly, the Hollywood hype machine can be a bit overwhelming. After all, we're camping out for days just to watch what are essentially commercials. But you don't need to participate in panels or stand in line to experience San Diego Comic-Con. You just need to be here, to walk the floor, take in the sights and the sounds and the smells, and just enjoy being surrounded by 140,000 like-minded maniacs having the time of their lives. There's nothing on earth quite like it, and it's all thanks to a tiny group of teenage nerds who changed the face of fandom forever, 50 years ago.
Thanks for watching, everyone. That's right, we're here in San Diego for the very first time covering Comic-Con. That means we're gonna have all sorts of coverage coming up in the next few days on our YouTube channel and our social media, so you're gonna wanna stay tuned. That means hit that button and please subscribe to Now This Nerd.